和生命空间 Dream World in the Space of Life. Xiefeng. August 15th, 2017. Translated by Treasure. Suppose that you could either sleep and have a wonderful but illusory dream for 80 years, or that you could study, work, and struggle in reality for the same 80 years. Which would you rather do? Enjoy the unreal dream or struggle through reality? It is the same 80 years. What is the difference between the real and the unreal one? Are both not experiences of life? To life, there is no real or unreal problem. Where were you when you were dreaming? Is everything in a dream not our reality? Is the feeling in the dream not real? Are the feeling and experience of annoyance, worry, joy, and fear not the same as they are in our reality? Actually, life is also a dream. However, our thoughts corner us stubbornly in a supposed reality and we ignore the other space of life. Human lives die, but life does not. Life will continue to live on in a dream without a body. The point is, which dreams shall we dream? Pleasant ones or nightmares? The space of life is infinite, and the time of life is also infinite. Everyone dreams. What happens in those dreams? It may be unthinkable and unimaginable, but you can reunite with dead loved ones, allow yourself to fly, miraculously transform into things and situations that you long for, and you may even make love in your dreams, and the feelings of making love in dreams are more intense, comfortable, unforgettable, and impressive than of those in reality. What is unimaginable in reality can be realized in dreams. You can even attain magic powers and spells. Why not live a wonderful dream? What matters is how we can make long-term wonderful dreams. Associated with our consciousness is the ability to have a nightmare or a pleasurable dream. All the situations and scenarios in our dreams are created by our consciousnesses. In other words, they are related to the qualities of our lives. If our non-material structure is perfect, then we can have great dreams, while defective non-material structures lead to nightmares. Question: where are heaven and hell? Answer: in our consciousness, the non-material structures of our lives. If our minds are full of envy, hate, greed, fear, anxiety, struggling, fighting, killing, despoiling, maintaining possessions, and controlling others, then we will undoubtedly live in hell and suffer from many nightmares, and our lives will descend into hell when we die as humans. Conversely, if our minds are full of joy, gratitude, appreciation, pleasure, love, the fragrance of beauty, elegance, and unrestrained nature, then we will live in heaven and our dreams will be pleasant, and our lives will certainly ascend to heaven after our human bodies pass on. What kind of dreams are most of yours? If they are usually beautiful and you love everything in them, it is proven that your consciousness is fine. On the contrary, if they always leave you annoyed, sad, depressed, fearful, or terrified, it proves that your consciousness has too many misdirected and harmful thoughts. Our consciousnesses create both our realities and our dreams. We are not aware of our real consciousnesses. The ones that we know are only the surface ones as the tops of icebergs floating above the water, but what really works are the deep consciousness which we do not understand very well. Just as the bottom part of the iceberg is much bigger and supports the part that we see, it is the deep consciousness of which we are not aware that support our dreams. The dream world is created by the deep consciousness, and our reality comes from them as well. There are 18 factors which we are unable to manage or control in life, including our inability to choose our parents and the times and surroundings of our birth. Why can we not self-manage and control them? Simply, all is controlled by the deep consciousness, and just as in the dream world, we are unable to manage or control anything. The deep consciousness connects with Tao. It is dominated by the universal laws and rules of life, such as the laws of causality and of attraction. Retribution will come from the law of causality, while checks and balances will emerge from the law of attraction. Thus, everything becomes very complex, but meticulous and without any loopholes. It can be concluded that it is easy to reach hell but harder to enter heaven than the proverbial camel passing through the eye of a needle. There is the rub that it is difficult to remove the bad factors in the deep consciousness or to clean the clutter from the passage of life. If those bad factors in the deep consciousness can be removed, and if that clutter can be cleaned, then all of your dreams will be great ones, and you will ultimately ascend to heaven. 解说灵魂的地域性 Explaining the regional properties of souls. Xiefeng. October 16, 2006. Translated by Treasure. Number 7 of the 8 features of souls describe their regional properties. But what does this mean? It means that all souls are bound to reincarnate into those places and cultures where they are most familiar. Black people are bound to reincarnate into black. White people reincarnate into white, and yellow ones into yellow. Japanese individuals usually reincarnate into Japanese cultures, Chinese into Chinese cultures, and Indians into Indian cultural environments. Why is this so? It is because of the structure of life. Water droplets fuse together easily as they also do with milk, but they will never fuse with oil. This is a characteristic of their structures. The apple never falls far from the tree, and so it is with souls because one only feels safe when they are in a familiar environment. The size of a soul world is proportional to the content of its soul. People who live in remote villages all their lives will reincarnate into those same villages because their souls only know those contents and nothing else. The structures of their lives are only in accordance with life in those villages. Structures have attractions, like birds of a feather flock together, and similar structures attract each other. Europeans rarely reincarnate as Chinese because the cultures there do not conform to their soul's contents. They lack gravity to them, or it is far less to them than that of their original culture. Anyone who lives in a strange place within an alien culture will feel out of place, lonely, and eager to go home. Going home is every soul's wish, but where is home? The most familiar place is one's home, and home is one's most familiar place. This is to say that souls have regional properties. Generally speaking, one will usually reincarnate into a place that is most familiar to them. We have never heard of a Tibetan living Buddha coming from Africa or Europe. According to the above principle, souls should reincarnate into their own families, and this would prove the regional property of souls. So why do some people reincarnate into places far away? This question involves their carriers of life. Souls are spiritual entities which can only function when they become attached to physical bodies. When one dies but no carrier is available from within their immediate comfort zone, then they will have to find a carrier from within the smallest possible radius of that place. Therefore, if one wants to find their late relative, then they should search within a radius of 10, then 20, then 50, and then within 100 kilometers of their home to find a family that has been blessed with a newborn child soon after their relative's passing. They can then check the birthmark of the child, or sense of the child by their hearts of whether the child is the reincarnation of their departed loved one. Of course, if their relative has gone to heaven or another space, then they might never be found. Some people may not accept the concept of souls' regional properties, though they can be verified thusly. Everyone's dreams reflect the contents of their souls. Then would the vast majority of Europeans dream of Asian or African people when they sleep? Of course they would not. Even if one lives in a foreign society now, the frequency of foreign people appearing in their dreams will be low, unless in the next lifetime will some fragments emerge in your dreams. This can raise a great mystery of life. Where do we go in our afterlives? Consider that if no relevant familiar images of heaven fill your consciousnesses, then how could you go there? The truth is that this would be impossible because the transformation of life is subject to strict and meticulous management and the restraint of Tao, which is a scientific system. If you hope to go to heaven but know nothing about it, or are only minimally aware of it, then your soul would be totally unprepared to go there. If you know and understand the guide, then you could find him easily. If not, then it would be much more difficult. And if you have no concept of him at all, then you would not recognize him even if he were standing at your side. The 1,000-year world is the easiest place to which people can advance, but you must understand it. So please study it. You must self-cultivate and self-refine according to the lifestyle of the celestials who live there. In this way, your consciousnesses will be focused there, and you can go there directly after you pass on. Life is like this. The more we know, the larger our scope of activities will be. What does not exist in our consciousness has no existence in our life. Therefore, we need to make full use of our limited physical time to expand our life spaces. Do not long for the ephemeral, passing mortal world, but for a better place. Understand the place for which you yearn as much as possible. Be reasonable and willing to advance. Reincarnation and abortion. Xiefeng. July 8, 2011. Translated by Teng Xin. What is a fetus? In Chinese, the word translates to a house that is built over a period of about 1 month. Note, fetus is written in Chinese as Tai. The left part means month and the right part means pavilion. Zygotes are less than 1 month old and embryos are less than 2 months old, and neither can be called fetuses. Rather, they are only fertilized eggs. Is an unfertilized egg a life? Of course not. A chicken can only hatch from one which has been fertilized, only when the time is right for it to do so, and only then can we call it a life. Can we call a fertilized egg a life? No, because it has no self-awareness. Only those things with self-awareness can be called lives. Otherwise, man-made mechanical devices such as trains and cars would qualify as such. The meaning of a fetus is the house that is built within 1 to several months, and it is therefore not a life, but the house for a life that will come to live inside of it. On the matter of reincarnation, it is the spiritual entity, namely the soul of a life, that enters into the house which is built for it. It is only when this soul of a life enters into a fetus that it becomes a life. When does the soul of a life reincarnate? Reincarnation usually happens at about 10 days before birth, while most of the process happens during the 3 days before birth. Many cases from examples from throughout history in different cultures prove this. The conclusion leads us to believe that fetuses in wombs can be called lives from only about 10 days before their births. Otherwise, they are not lives, but houses waiting for new lives to enter. Christianity and Buddhism regard abortions as sins because they kill lives. Such views are wrong because they do not reflect the facts. If we take a fertilized egg or a fetus as a life, then the concepts of heaven, hell, and reincarnation cannot exist because many new lives are born. Many old ones die continuously, and one could only live for one life as a human, and this is clearly not true. Should a young girl who becomes pregnant after having sex without any knowledge and methods of contraception abort her growing embryo or fetus? Please do not preach morality here. It is useless at this time, and we should only consider the ramifications of whether she should carry to term or not. If you do not agree that she should abort, would you be willing to be responsible for the nursing and rearing of her child? If you will not do this, but speak loudly against her abortion and say that abortion is a sin and a crime, please explain where your moral responsibility is. Life genuine is the final course for human beings. Everything is concluded by the final course. 清扫生命通道. Clear the passage of life. Xiefeng. August 14, 2017. Translated by Feng Xing. By the existence of things, we profit, and by the non-existence of things, we are served. For something to be useful, it must be empty. Water can only flow freely through pipelines that are empty. If they are not empty, its flow will be restricted. The most obvious example is how drains in kitchens and washrooms become blocked when garbage clogs the pipes. A pipe clogged by garbage is useless. The only way to solve that problem is to remove the garbage, otherwise, it becomes useless. Life is like a passage which must be kept clear. Once extra clutter enters it, life will become weak and powerless, will be rigid and corrupted and even useless. When I study life and contrast a life that is bound for heaven with the one that is going to hell, I find that the passage of heaven-bound lives is clear, whereas the ones of hell-bound lives are filled with extra clutter and are badly blocked. What exactly blocks the passage of life? Above all, we must learn what life is. Life is a non-material structure with spirituality, which shows its character mainly through the consciousness, also called the soul. Actually, life, soul, and consciousness are the same thing. In order to talk about it more conveniently and clearly, I substitute consciousness for life, and when I speak of consciousness, I really mean life. Life's passage is blocked right by clutter in the consciousness. Let us examine the types of things that clutter our consciousness. Joy, anger, sorrow, happiness, grief, fear, and fright do it. Property, money, reputation, status, and power do it. Tao, virtue, benevolence, righteousness, courtesy, and faith do it. Relatives, families, nationalities, groups, political parties, religions, and nations do it. Faith, ideals, successes, proposals, and targets do it. All of our knowledge, education, and experience does it. All the views which have been formed about life, values, life, and the universe do it. Ideas from traditions and religions do it. Everything listed above are obstacles that block the passage of life. Now let us look at the teachings of Laozi, Sakyamuni, and Jesus. The core of Laozi's teachings is nothingness, returning to being a baby. Sakyamuni's teachings focus on being empty. One's mind should not abide in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma. Your mind should not abide in anything. The core of Jesus's teachings is you should be converted and become one as little child. The teachings of Celestial, Buddha, and God focus on one point, that is clearing the passage of life. Why should we clean life to keep it flowing smoothly? The answer is obvious. When a water pipe is blocked, it is useless. When a bedroom is stuffed, no one can occupy it. When the passage of life is blocked, life will lack of nimbus and will slip down toward hell. So it is necessary to clear the passage of life. With respect to real life, the more possessions that one owns, the more trouble, worries, fright, and the less freedom, elegance, and flexibility they have. The more that clutters their consciousness, the more rigid, possessive, stubborn, and conservative they become. The more they dare not to take one step beyond the limit. A life like this actually becomes more miserable, tiring, and tragical. Einstein once said that what prevented him from thinking was the education he had received. I can tell you that what prevents one from achieving happiness, joy, freedom, and blessing comes from what they have possessed in their consciousness. And what prevents mankind from achieving peace, happiness, and sustained prosperity is exact what they hold fast to. I understand fully the broad way to heaven and how a person achieves a happy life, and I know clearly how mankind can avoid man-made and natural disasters and how to realize a sustainable development. But more importantly, I know how a life can arrive in heaven. However, few believe my words because people's passages of life are too cluttered. Accordingly, if one wants a better life and wants to arrive in heaven, they must clear their own life passage first. 生命的高峰体验和极乐妙境 The peak experience and bliss state of life. Xiefeng. September 30th, 2011. Translated by Treasure. The prestigious American psychologist, Abraham Harold Maslow, has presented his theory of the hierarchical needs of life, in which he postulates that self-realization is the highest need of one's life, that the most perfect symbol of obtaining the highest need is peak experiences, and that his definition